Hi everybody, welcome back to Ellis Clark Trains TV, where today we have our electronics expert, John, on board with us because we are going to talk Nexus. Now, since we launched Nexus last month, it's generated a lot of excitement. We've had a lot of really amazing engagement from you guys out there, but we've also had a lot of questions. So we thought we'd take the opportunity today with the man who is, well, you are Nexus really, aren't you, in this company? It's your baby.
Me, yeah.
We've got the brains behind Nexus here. We're going to put to rest some of those questions and see if we can give you the answers that you're looking for. So John, first up, I guess, to get us going, in your words, what is Nexus?
Right, so, well, to basically break it down, Nexus is the first dual-channel, independent dual-channel decoder, sound decoder.
And what does that mean? If a decoder's dual-channel, when we say dual-channel sound, how is that different from what we've got
So
previously?
at the moment, you've got a decoder that basically gives you a mono, single, two-wire speaker output.
Yeah.
What this gives us the ability to do is have two completely independent speakers, so two separate speaker outputs, and basically you can play the sounds through each individual speaker as you kind of deem your file or make up your file to basically work with.
Okay, so what's the benefit of that? In a real world model, you get your nice shiny new Dub D that we've got here, because Nexus is going into all of our models, obviously. What's the main benefit of that in a model? What do you hear?
Okay, so things like the Dub D, for instance, we've got here. So we've got two speakers in the boiler barrel, we've got one speaker in the tender. What that allows us to do is basically all the sounds that you would hear from the tender, things like your coal shoveling, your water filling. One thing that sort of sticks in my head from the day of recording it was there was a set of chains just chinking away as we were going along the track and all that kind of stuff. So all those sounds can be played from the actual tender, whilst you've got all the business end, your chuffs, the whistles, all that kind of stuff coming from there. So the advantage with that is obviously it gives you the difference in sound, gives you the kind of spatial awareness, I suppose, is the best way to put it. But then it also gives you that kind of extra kind of level of detail to the model. You know, we've gone this next level with sort of the detail on the models and everything like that. Now we need to add the next level of detail.
So why not make the sound as absolutely as authentic as it could be, with the sounds coming from the right places of the engine. And full disclosure for everybody watching there, our sound-fitted Dub D is actually with our Nexus supplier at the moment, I believe, because they're making some final enhancements to the setup before the Dub Ds go into production next month. So we do have a Black 5, which you'll probably see on this video, where we can demonstrate just as well what Nexus actually does.
Yeah, so things like that tender, those sort of tender sounds, we can play them independently. You know, we can have whistles playing at the front, stuff like that. So yeah, we can put it into a little demo for you.
And the Dub D, it's got 3 speakers inside the Dub D.
3 speakers, yeah. So we've got two 18 by 13s in the boiler barrel, and then there's a 23 by 11 in the tender.
Okay. And for you, has there been any highlight, any particular thing you've enjoyed bringing to Nexus that has stood out in the process?
Yeah, it's definitely the challenge. It's definitely thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing this sort of sound recording stuff now for quite some years, and to sort of think like I've got to kind of, well, I want sound there, I want sound here, and yeah, it's really kind of made me think outside the box of what I'm used to. So that's been quite interesting. That's quite challenging. Definitely a highlight was trying to capture the 2 different ends of the loco. So normally it's a case of we all go up the business end, that kind of thing, and well, actually no, I've got to think down this end of the loco now and stuff like that. So yeah.
I mean, you know your stuff when it comes to digital. I think pretty much everybody out there on that, but it's really stretched.
It's really stretched. Yeah,
it's
really stretched that kind of that thought process.
Yeah.
You know, usually you'd go somewhere and you're so used to miking up a loco a certain way, but then all of a sudden it's just like, well, I've got an whole extra channel to play with here, so what can I do with that? And that's really kind of, I think it's pushed me outside the comfort zone. I think it's probably the best way to explain it. Yeah. It's you know, I'm definitely a stickler for sort of thinking I could have done something better, or you know, I could have done this a little bit more differently, I think is probably the word I would use. But yeah, trying to then think outside the box of what I'm used to. Definitely.
Well, I mean, anybody that's seen it in the flesh will know that it sounds incredible. So I think it's definitely a job well done in that sense. In terms of the Nexus, the hardware itself, is there anything different about how we're doing Nexus compared to, say, how other manufacturers might make their decoders? I mean, I know we've gone for really high quality components and a UK base for production as well. So.
Yeah, so that's one thing I was going to touch on. So obviously you've got UK support, you've got UK manufacturing. So that's been quite an achievement for us to bring manufacturing back to the UK in terms of that. But the decoder itself, again, it's literally, we've got to think outside the box. You know, we've got this whole extra things that we end up playing with, you know, extra wires that we need to incorporate into the actual sockets.
Sure.
You know, the memory as well. That was something that became quite interesting from early set. Usually it's a case of we, you know, have a sort of amount of memory that we work to, but now we've got a whole extra channel, so we need more memory to accommodate that extra channel.
So you've also, with the extra memory, you've actually got double the capacity for how many sounds you can get on that chip. So does that mean you've got a much more detailed file? You've got a lot more options in what you play, or
it's literally a case of we've got a whole nother level of audio, a whole extra level of audio. So what we'd normally have on, say, sort of the loco end, all of a sudden we've got to add the tender to the equation. So again, that's a whole recording all on its own kind of thing to work with the loco.
Okay. One of the questions we get asked quite a lot since we launched Nexus is, will I be able to, because obviously at some point we are going to make, probably next year we're going to make Nexus available as a standalone product to customers wanting to fit it to other locomotives, not just ours. Will people be able to create their own sound projects and upload it to Nexus?
Yes.
If so, how do they do that? How long does it take? Can they upload someone else's sound project onto Nexus? How does Nexus fit with all of that?
So you, unfortunately, because of the sort of the realm of the unknown, you have to do your own recordings.
Right.
So it will literally be a case of you can go out and record your own sort of audio to it and stuff.
Fair enough.
Make your own sound project, and what we're basically going to be doing is we're going to be doing a piece of software. So on your computer, you'll be able to download this software. You'll be then able to sort of populate the file, add whistles, coal shoveling, injector, blower, all these different things, and you'll be able to basically use that software to basically tailor where you want the audio to play. For instance, the coal shoveling, the tender water filling, you know, we only want that to play from essentially the right or rear, as I call it, that kind of thing of the loco, and then, you know, whistles and your chuffs and all this lot, we're only going to play them from this end of the left-hand audio channel, basically.
Sure.
So yeah, the software will be fully user-friendly. Okay. I think it's probably the best way to explain it. I've been doing this long enough now that, you know, hearing the word CV for some people seems a bit scary. So the idea is with the Nexus board itself, you'll be able to use the header on the back here, plug in a little wire into that header, and then that gives you a USB interface. So you'll be able to plug this directly into the computer, so no additional hardware will be needed.
You don't need a programmer.
Don't need a programmer or anything like that.
Just plug it into a cable.
Literally plug that in, plug it into a cable, into your laptop there, and then you've got the software on it to be able to play with, tailor it. Even existing files, you'll be able to basically tweak and change things on those existing files, as well as creating your own projects as well.
So you could take someone else's file and still play with that.
So yeah, for instance, our Dub D, for instance, when that comes out, you'll literally have a socket just in the front. So take your smokebox door off, and there'll be a little 5-pin socket that you can then plug in a little interface into, plug it into your laptop, and then use the software to change, tailor, or tweak anything you want to do, basically. And that makes it a lot more user-friendly, I think is probably the best way to explain it.
Well, it's another form of plug and play, isn't
it? Yeah. Kind of gets around that kind of scary word CV and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, you've recorded all of the sound files for our locomotives, the Dub D, the Pug, and anything that comes after. I think it might be common knowledge John is actually an expert at recording sounds out on the real railways as well. So in those sound files, when you get them with our locomotives, are they variable, shall we say, in the same? Can you alter the CVs in that in the same way as you would with another decoder? Can you?
Yeah, so you'll be able to basically use your DCC controller to change CVs standard.
I mean, they're set up to get the best from the sound.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't really need to change them in other words.
No, not ideally, no. But obviously there are going to be people that you know, it's a personal thing. You know, sound is a very personal kind of thing. So what I deem as good or the best. You know,
Yeah.
someone might want to change and say, well, actually, this volume's a bit louder or this volume's a bit quieter, that kind of thing.
And I guess, again, something we should say is we've obviously got the Black 5 sort of playing here on this video, but Nexus, as with any sound decoder, is something that you really have to see in the flesh to be able to get the full benefit over what dual channel sound is.
To appreciate it, yeah.
We can give you a good demo on a video, but your ears have to be in the room. And another question we actually get asked a lot is, where can I see Nexus? What's the best way?
So our models, we'll be coming out with them in. So our Dub D, as we touched on, the pugs, they'll both have it, and going forward more models and stuff. Obviously we'll have them out at shows up and down the country. So
I think our next one is actually Guildex. Are you going to Guildex?
No, I'm not going. I'm not going to Guildex.
But we will have all of our Nexus equipped engines on display at Guildex. All bells and whistles. The Dub D will be there. The pugs will be there.
Come and have a listen. Come and have a play.
Absolutely.
Yep, definitely.
If you're ever near Skipton, then the showroom is always open. Well, it's open Monday to Saturday. You're generally around on Tuesdays here.
Generally around on a Tuesday.
Any sort of you feel like everyone wants to talk to you about something, that's a pretty good day for that. But hearing Nexus in the flesh with those dual channels and all the various speakers is quite an experience. Just coming down to the next question, we've had a few people ask about Railcom with regard to Nexus. And I think Railcom is one of these things where there's a little bit of confusion. So firstly, what is Railcom? People are asking, can I use Railcom with Nexus? What is Railcom?
So Railcom is basically bidirectional communication with a DCC system.
Yeah.
Basically what it does is it basically reports back via the track its number, its direction, and its speed. The handy thing as well is it also allows you to read and write CVs whilst sort of programming CVs on the main, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's basically the added advantage to it. In terms of actually supporting it, yes, the hardware is equipped to support Railcom. It's a case of now we need to look at the software side of it. So it's literally that case of we've seen it on the forums, we've seen people asking for it. Mm-hmm. So now we feel that it's something that we need to develop and look into.
So there would be a benefit to having that, to being able to use Railcom
there's certainly been a lot of people asking for it.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'll be honest, don't use it. But
and why is that?
It's the sort of thing. I like to play with my engines. I like to look at them. I like to watch them going around and all this kind of stuff. Yes, I have block detection on my layout, but it's usually a case of I can see where it is, that kind of thing. If you've got a set of hidden sidings or something like that, yeah, okay, it's nice to have that sort of report to basically say that this loco's in this siding and that kind of thing.
So if you've got a big exhibition layout or something like
that. Yeah, or maybe multiple levels, that kind of thing, where the level disappears underneath.
So the functionality is built in to Nexus.
Yeah, so the hardware exists on the board itself. At the time when we were tweaking and adjusting things and playing with software and creating this thing, it was a case of we sort of looked at it to start with and thought, well, we'll just kind of sideline that for the moment and everything. It's not something we're going to ignore, but it's literally a case of so many people have asked for it now that it's something we feel that now we need to step it up a bit.
Absolutely. I think that sort of characterises what we do. We are always open to comments and suggestions. We like to think that we listen. We've done it before with models. We've perhaps designed a model in a certain way, either in terms of its exterior design or what's inside it. We've had feedback and comments, and then we've sort of tweaked and changed because obviously we sell models to you, the public, and the people that like to buy trains. So
we're all model railway enthusiasts at the end of the day. So we all we all get it. We like to be fair. We like to sort of take comments, criticisms, anything like that on board. And at the end of the day, we'll always work to make our models better.
We'll find a way. We'll always try to make things as best as they can be. So another question we've had from a couple of people is, can you tell the difference between a Nexus dual channel sound decoder and a single channel sound decoder in a 00 gauge engine? I guess like the Dub D, I suppose what they're getting at is obviously it's going to be pretty obvious if you've got a large O gauge engine, but what about the Dub D? What in terms of its size?
Yeah.
What's the specific benefit there? Is it really obvious?
So with the Dub D, it's literally a case of, because we've got the two speakers, we're able to play the audio from the correct place. Yeah. So things like your tender water filling, that's going to come from the back of the engine. It's never going to come from up here. Whilst we've got models out there that give you 2 speakers, front and rear, because they've only got that mono channel. It's a case of everything comes from all around the loco.
Yeah.
So the added advantage with having it in our Dub D is a case of we can play things like the coal shoveling, the tender water filling, that's all going to come from there. If we then remove the tender, so say a smaller engine, as an example, and we've got 2 speakers inside the actual locomotive boiler, so like our Pug O gauge, as an example.
Yeah.
So we've only got 2 speakers in the boiler on that. Whilst we've got one speaker playing the chuffs, the other speaker's playing the whistle. So there's no distortion from those chuffs being played on that one speaker that then distort your whistles.
So they're not competing with each other, I guess, is what you're saying. So
Competing,
you've got very
conflicting.
clear audio.
Yes.
So actually that, apart from it being dual channel sound, that is another benefit. You've got that better range and clarity in the audio.
Yeah, you've got the ability to separate that audio.
Yeah.
So you're not basically trying to play multiple audios through one speaker. It's now a case of you can split the audio, and that gives you much clearer sound. So your whistles aren't being distorted by the chuffing sounds.
Great, and that's going to apply to however big your engine is, however many speakers you've got in it. It's going to be there all the time.
You're always going to have an advantage with this system. It's always an advantage to have 2 speakers, even if it's a case of they're both inside the boiler barrel.
Right,
you're going to have an advantage to that.
Great stuff. And I guess something for you more than anything else. What's next with Nexus? I mean, we've got it going into our Dub D. We've got it going into our Pugs. That's the models that people know about.
I mean,
what's the future for Nexus?
It's I think it's a never say never kind of thing. We're open to suggestions, as we touched on earlier, ideas. We want to expand it. We definitely want to continue going forward with it.
Yeah.
And there's some definitely exciting ideas and prospects coming. Yeah. Watch this space, sort of.
Fantastic. You heard it here, everybody. As always, any comments, any questions, any requests with Nexus or any of other of our products, drop us a line, give us a bell, leave some comments in the section below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks, John.
Thank you.